Hello, everyone. Rob Goslin here, Director of Space. Welcome to our highlight reel, where we share some of our upcoming classes with you. These are just a few of the amazing modules we offer each month in space. If you're interested in more information to enroll or to vote on these courses, please check the individual links below. We look forward to seeing you in space.
Hello, I'm Shawn, and this is a teaser video for Signum's Phonetics class. Phonetics is the study of speech sounds, how they are made, and how they are heard. When you say the word warmth, do you hear a P sound? When you say the word tense, as in past tense, or we slept in some tents last night, do you hear a difference? When you hear the ing sound at the end of a word like running, does it sound a little different than you might expect? The sounds that we expect based on our knowledge about the alphabet and English spelling don't always align with the sounds that we actually hear. And this class will look at and listen more carefully to the sounds of English, as well as learning the details about how to describe some of the myriad of sounds in the world's languages. We'll learn about the International Phonetic Alphabet, transcription, and how different language sounds are formed in the throat, the mouth, the nasal cavity, and elsewhere, along with other necessary components for them to come out sounding different and distinct from one another. Knowledge about sounds, how they're made and described, is invaluable when studying a new language, when creating your own language, or trying to gain insight into whatever languages you already speak. So join me as we explore the sounds of language.
Hi everyone, my name is Praise Moyer, and I am an instructor with Signum University's space program. I teach a module called Introduction to Binding Books by Hand, and what we cover in that module is the basics of the materials and techniques you would use to make books from scratch, or to rebind a book that you already know and love into a different format. For example, something like this is a Chronicles of Narnia that I've rebound in leather. We also cover cheaper versions of bookbinding that you can do to make like junk journals and things on a budget, or really fancy things. We do modern techniques as well as traditional techniques. I really want to help some of those traditional techniques not die out, but there's also some pretty cool things that we can do with modern technology that make things accessible and a little bit easier to jump into if you're not in possession of a giant workshop. So if you have any interest in the book as a physical object, the book arts, I'd love to introduce some of these concepts to you. If you have a little bit of bookbinding experience, that's okay. We can go into more in-depth questions as well. But I look forward to seeing you, and hopefully we'll delve into this subject together.
Hi everyone, I'm Sparrow, and I am a space preceptor in the creative writing sector. I'm inviting you to an adventure called 1 Month Story. If you are working on a short story, all the way to a novel, this is the month. You can do it. Are you participating in a contest? Are you challenging yourself? We're going to talk about story structure, plot, setting, character, all at an accelerated pace in a manner absolutely full to the teeth with enthusiasm, encouragement, praise. We're going to read each other's pieces. We're going to comment in a collaborative feedback method, which lifts up excellence and really is all about what's best for your story and you as a writer. We have a lot of fun. It is very intense. It is, well, it's just what I need right now. How about you? Please join me.
I'm Anni Foasberg. I'm a regular student and occasional preceptor in space, and I'm also an anime enthusiast. So anime is a really, really versatile genre, and it's so good at giving us these unusual worlds and these impossible action sequences, but that's really not all it can do. There's so much anime that takes place on a smaller scale. So for instance, there's anime about work life or school life, or maybe even romance. And that kind of anime can give us a chance to get really close to a character and to observe closely and even participate in their struggles and in their growth. Or there's sports anime, where the stakes feel really high, but it's still okay for the characters to lose. Or there's hobby anime, where you have a chance to get really invested in something that maybe you've never heard of before. Maybe you would never have cared about it otherwise, but now there's a story behind it. Sometimes there's even anime that's close enough to real life that it can be used for educational purposes. In all of these cases, just like in other kinds of anime that you may have considered before, I would argue that what anime is really good at is creating a world that you can kind of live in. And that's true whether it's this fantastical world or one that's very close to our own. So in the class, I don't want to treat everyday life as a kind of genre. Everyday life shows up in all kinds of anime. But some genres are more everyday life heavy than others. So in the first class, I want to talk a little bit about what I mean by everyday life and why I think it's important. And then in the subsequent classes, I want to walk through some of these genres where everyday life is really important, makes a lot of appearances, and maybe give a brief history and talk about one or two examples that are important or that I care about a lot. And in a lot of cases, we are going to be discussing some of my favorite shows, but I would strongly encourage you, if you're already a fan of this kind of anime, to bring your own examples as well, so we can have a discussion about what makes everyday life elements so important and how those enrich the overall effect of the anime. On the other hand, if you're new to the anime of everyday life, if you've never watched something like this, or if you haven't paid attention before to how anime incorporates these everyday elements, then I'm also really excited for you to be in the class, because I hope that this may unlock a new way for you to look at anime. Maybe you'll even walk away with a longer list of recommendations that you want to see. So I'm really excited about this class. I hope you're excited about it too. So let's get together and watch some anime that moves slowly and has complicated characters together. And I look forward to seeing you in space.
Hello, I'm Liam Daley. I'm a faculty member here at Signum, and I'm very excited to be offering this course, the first in a series of courses on the works of Arthurian legend maker Chrétien de Troyes, the man who invented the character Lancelot, who introduced the Holy Grail into the Arthurian legend, and is really the source of so many Arthurian motifs that we kind of take for granted, but that would not be there if it were not for him. So in this course, we'll be reading two of his works. We'll be looking at his foundational early work, Erec and Enide, courtly love romance about the adventures of a knight of Camelot and his lady. And we'll also be looking at Chrétien's most widely read and celebrated work, Lancelot, Knight of the Cart. The very first story to feature Sir Lancelot, a knight who loves Queen Guinevere beyond all bounds of reason and possibly sanity. So these stories are well crafted, they're quick paced. There's the courtly love element, there's the knighthood, chivalry, and combat element. They're very funny in places. It's it's all you could want in a courtly love romance. I hope you'll join me.
Hello there. My name is Christopher Bartlett, and I'm one of the preceptors of the Signum University Space Program in the Creative Writing section. I'm excited to teach a class called The Different Body Problem, in which we will explore the challenges and opportunities that a writer will find when writing about bodies that differ from the so-called normal or average body. At first blush, it might seem that this would only be interesting to someone writing science fiction or fantasy, but bodies are, well, part of everyone's experience. And so they creep into writing of all kinds, certainly SF and fantasy literature, but also memoir, non-fiction essays, romance, and other genres of fiction. We are also in a new era where awareness of difference and of the historical issues surrounding that difference is higher than ever before. It's incumbent on writers to be conscious about how they choose to write about people with different bodies in order to boost their stories or amplify their message. In an 8-hour course, We cannot cover everything or do justice to every aspect of these issues, but we'll look at samples of writing and create some writing of our own, experimenting with different perspectives, covering issues of gender, disability, race, and other differences. We will use the collaborative feedback method for this writing, as seen in other space creative writing modules. We shall be fearlessly respectful, consciously kind to one another, and we will come out the other side knowing more than we did at the beginning. I'm excited to join you on this journey.
Hi, I'm Sara, and I'm a literature instructor with Signum University Space Programme. I'm starting a new series of modules on Terry Pratchett's Discworld, and this one is called Which Witch is Which? First, because who doesn't love a good pun? And second, because we're going to explore some of my favourite characters in the Discworld, Nanny Og, Magrat Garlic, and the one I'm definitely modelling myself on for future me, Granny Weatherwax. We'll even touch a little bit on Tiffany Aching. Nanny Og, Magrat Garlic and Granny Weatherwax are more than just a marvellous spoof of those in Shakespeare's Macbeth. In addition to their undoubted comedic value, they're also a voice for some of the major themes of the Discworld novels. Through readings of extracts from the relevant novels, as well as reference to some modern scholarship, we'll examine the differences between witch magic and wizard magic, the role of witches in Discworld society, Pratchett's representations of gender, themes of power and authority, and the presentation of some of the minor witch characters. I'm looking for some fellow Pratchett enthusiasts who would like to travel the Discworld with me. If you fancy it, come and join me in Signum Space. I look forward to seeing you. Because if you know, you know.
Only in silence the word, only in darkness the light, only in dying life, bright the hawk's flight on the empty sky. So begins Ursula K. Le Guin's legendary Earthsea cycle. It was initially published as a trilogy, and then 25 years after the initial trilogy was finished being published, she returned to this world to explore it from a new perspective and through a new way of understanding her own life and the life of the characters in this world. This has been a favorite series of mine since I was a child many decades ago, and I really look forward to being able to offer these modules on Earthsea and space. Le Guin contemplates the nature of mortality, a kind of meaning in life that can be derived from a serious acceptance of one's mortality. She also explores themes of art, religion, daily life for quote-unquote ordinary people. She explores the workings of the great and the wise and their flaws as well. She develops her characters and her narrative arcs in surprising and innovative ways. And I think these stories can be read on a variety of levels and through a variety of interpretive lenses. So I invite everyone to come join us in space as we read these novels together over a sequence of 3 modules and basically embrace the format of a book discussion framed by preceptor commentary. I really look forward to these running, if they do, and I look forward to working with anyone who has the interest to take these modules. Thank you.
Hello, Signum friends and family. I'm really delighted to share that I'll be starting a module series. It's a book club for the entirety of The Lord of the Rings. And I'm really excited to share this with you. I love teaching my book club series, and I'm really excited to explore The Lord of the Rings with each month focusing on the individual books within the trilogy. It's a ton of fun. I enjoy it so much, and I would love to hear from you. And I would love to hear your questions about the story, learn the things that you want to talk about, what you've always wondered about The Lord of the Rings. So you guide our discussions. I act as a facilitator. So come bring a cup of tea and your coziest blanket, we'll have tons of fun reading The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Book 1 together. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Liam Daley. I'm a faculty member here at Signum University, and I am very excited to be offering this class on the short stories of Edwardian writer H.H. Munro, alias Saki. This is my favorite author to read for fun. You know, I love Shakespeare, I love Chaucer, I love Thomas Malory, I teach them, I write about them. This is my favorite author to read for fun. And I'm always shocked that more people haven't heard of him or have read his stuff. If you can imagine a mixture of P.G. Wodehouse, Roald Dahl, his adult fiction, and maybe a dash of Wilkie Collins thrown in, this is fiction that walks a very fine line between being unsettling and being funny. So in Saki's version of polite English society, you might meet a duchess or a rich London playboy, or you might also just as easily meet a werewolf or an escaped hyena or the angry ghost of a hedgehog, but there is always something lurking on the periphery and threatening to intrude into the story. So in this class, we will be looking at Saki's works both in their literary historical context. What is he drawing on in the 19th century tradition? What is he anticipating that comes later in the 20th century? We will also be looking at him from the point of view of literary craftsmanship. Each of the stories that we read is frankly, a Swiss watch of short narrative fiction. There is not a line out of place. They're so well constructed. So whether you think of him, as various people have, as writing tales of suspense or gothic fiction or comedy of manners, I think maybe dark comedy of manners comes nearest the mark. It is always a rewarding experience reading and rereading him. I'm so excited to be offering this. I hope you can join me.